All right, it's Monday, February 10th, 2025, and brand new polling has just been released on Donald Trump, DOGE, and both political parties. The mainstream media conducted this polling, CNN, CBS specifically, hoping it would provide them a hook to bash Trump with for the next week, but it didn't. Instead, these left-leaning polls show Trump is more popular today than ever before. His job performance, his approval ratings, his policies even. Wait till you see this. Even Democrats and anti-Trumpers are giving him high marks. And the best part is watching CNN, of all outlets, forced to report it. This is great. Also, more stories as well from around the country. We have updates on DOGE accessing the Pentagon spending, also Trump's assassinations, and more. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel, and consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So it's been 3 weeks since Trump was inaugurated, the best political comeback in presidential history after years of the establishment in D.C. doing everything in their power to discredit, destroy, throw the man in prison, frame him for a fake insurrection. The levels of fraud and subterfuge that they put him and us through, the country writ large, is unforgivable. But the only silver lining is that they overplayed their hand. Everyone now sees this is a battle between good and evil. And what they never imagined is that 3 weeks into his second term, he would have the highest approval ratings of any two-term president. He would be more popular than ever before. 70% of Americans now believe Trump is fulfilling his promises, doing what he promised. 70%. That's insane. This country is split 50-50. You never see numbers like this, not in decades. What this means is that a large portion of Democrats, Trump-hating Democrats, believe he's fulfilling his promises. And it gets even better. Watch as CNN, of all outlets, is forced to report this. Watch.
You know, I think one of the things that's so important for politicians is for folks to believe what they're saying and that they're keeping their campaign promises. So I think this gives you a pretty gosh darn good idea of what may be going on. Trump's doing what he promised to do. You go back to April of 2017, it was just 46% of all Americans who said that Trump was doing what he promised to do. Compare that now to February of 2025. You know, there was a good show that was on during the 1990s called A Different World. That is what's going on right now. We're living in a different world. 70% of Americans say Trump is doing what he promised to do. Again, compare that to April of 2017 when it's just 46%. When Americans are 24 points more likely to say that you're doing what you promised to do, it's no wonder that your net approval rating is much more likely to be on the positive side of the ledger than on the negative side. And so far, what we're seeing, again, is Americans, 21 days so far versus just 11 days during his entire first term, that Trump has a positive net approval rating. Quite a different world.
In another story, Elon and DOGE uncovering more waste, fraud, and abuse in our federal government, this time in Homeland Security's FEMA, who just spent $59 million last week on luxury New York City hotels for illegal aliens, spending it right under our noses, doing this after Trump signed a presidential directive stopping all funding for illegal migrant aid. So, how did this happen? Who authorized it? These payments were illegal payments. FEMA stands for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the agency to help Americans after a natural emergency like a flood or a wildfire or hurricane. Not wasting our tax dollars on illegal aliens, and especially not paying for 5-star luxury hotel rooms for them at the Ritz-Carlton. Elon updating us this morning on this at 2:03 a.m. 2:03 a.m., probably the hardest working government worker we have, and he's not even technically a federal employee. Writing this, the DOGE team just discovered that FEMA spent $59 million last week to luxury hotels in New York City to house illegal migrants. Sending this money violated the law and is gross insubordination to the president's executive order. That money is meant for American disaster relief and instead is being spent on high-end hotels for illegals. A clawback demand will be made today to recoup those funds. The hotel was the Ritz-Carlton, folks. Meanwhile, there are Americans who were kicked out of their motels in Western North Carolina last month after the last FEMA grants expired. Americans who lost everything out on the streets, but illegal aliens who broke the law are sleeping in the Ritz-Carlton on our dime. Someone did this on purpose. Doing this after Trump's executive order means somebody specifically authorized it, ignored the EO Trump signed 3 weeks ago. Elon saying the Trump administration's already working on clawing back this money today and holding the person who authorized it responsible. And think, if it wasn't for Elon and DOGE, we'd never know about this. Dems are fighting and suing to block Elon and DOGE's access to our federal payment system, even though they are saving us huge money every single day. You really have to wonder why. Why are they trying to stop these audits? Are they being paid from this somehow? Are they getting rich off of it? Is there some type of kickback scheme in place? Well, according to Donald Trump, yes, there very well could be. Here he was explaining this and what his DOJ is doing about it. Watch.
So some of your plays have raised some questions and had some pushbacks. 19 states' attorneys general filed a lawsuit, and early Saturday, a judge agreed with them to restrict Elon Musk and his government efficiency team, DOGE, from accessing Treasury Department payment and data systems. They said there was a risk of irreparable harm. What do you make of that? And does that slow you down on what you want to do?
No, I disagree with it 100%. I think it's crazy. And we have to solve the efficiency problem. We have to solve the fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone into the government. You take a look at the USAID, the kind of fraud in there,
and you found significant things.
Well, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going, where if I read a list, you'd say this is ridiculous, and you've read the same lists, and there are many that you haven't even seen. It's crazy. It's a big scam. Now, there's some good money, and we can do that through any one of a number. I think I'd rather give it to Marco Rubio over at the State Department. Let him take care of the few good ones. So I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it.
Even today, even this morning, Dems are protesting in D.C. about Trump weeding the fraud, waste, and abuse out of government. Why? Why are they so opposed to it? Just this morning, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett lost her mind over this, telling protesters that Trump's turning America into Russia by exposing and stopping the fraud within our federal government. What? That's really what she said. This is a sitting member of Congress. Watch this.
And you've been saying, we're Democrats, we're our leaders. Well, I'm here to tell you that we ain't never left y'all. All right? We are here. We are also going to make sure that they uphold the law. We are not going to sit around while you go ahead and desecrate our Constitution, or you look at the laws that have been passed into law and say, never mind, we'll just ignore that. Instead, we are going to be in your face, we are going to be on your asses, and we are going to make sure you understand what democracy looks like. This ain't it. So let me tell you something, Mr. Trump. You gonna learn a few lessons from us. And I'm gonna be the first one. You and your little friend off of Twitter, y'all about to find out, all right? Come on. Now y'all know he likes to pal around with Putin, right? He's trying to turn us into Russia.
Trump has Elon and DOGE going department by department right now, currently looking for like the low-hanging fruit, looking for any waste, fraud, and abuse that they can quickly cut from our bloated federal system. Thus far, we know about $100 billion they've saved annually already. Next, they'll be going after the real meat and potatoes, the medical, biopharma, and Department of Defense. Trump telling Brett Baer yesterday that he's instructed Elon to go after that next. Watch.
I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. And, you know, the people elected me on that.
In another story, President Trump responding to Canada's Prime Minister Trudeau's hot mic comment yesterday, where Trudeau was accidentally caught on a hot mic telling top business leaders and labor leaders that there's a real plan apparently on the table for the U.S. to just completely absorb his country. That without the $200 billion in American subsidies, Canada, he said, would cease to exist economically. Trump said this weeks ago. People just blew it off as hyperbole. Well, it turns out it wasn't. We played that hot mic moment in yesterday's video. Well, Trump was just asked about this and again doubled down on Canada becoming our 51st state, saying Canada would be much better off being our 51st state. Why are we paying $200 billion a year to them? Watch.
You announced tariffs on Canada and Mexico. You immediately got action from both of them on border security and drug interdiction.
I did. A lot of action.
Is that good enough?
Expected.
Is that good enough?
No, it's not good enough.
So more needed in 30 days.
Something has to happen. It's not sustainable. And I'm changing it.
You know, the Prime Minister said this weekend to a group of Canadian businessmen, he was a private meeting, he said that your wish for Canada to be the 51st state is a, quote, real thing. Is it a real thing?
Yeah, it is. I think Canada would be much better off being a 51st state because we lose $200 billion a year with Canada, and I'm not going to let that happen. It's too much. Why are we paying $200 billion a year, essentially in subsidy to Canada? Now, if they're a 51st state, I don't mind doing it.
In another story, President Trump announcing Saturday full and complete transparency around both of his assassination attempts, ordering Secret Service to provide every last detail relating to both assassination attempts on his life, telling the New York Post, I'm entitled to know. I want to find out about the two assassins. Why did the one guy have 6 cell phones? Why did the other guy have foreign apps on his phone? No more holding back because of Biden. I'm entitled to know, and they held it back long enough. No more excuses. Amen. Until more information's released, I'm not even going to attempt or try to comment on the real story behind these assassinations. There's so much about both of them that's just odd. The first attempt in particular really doesn't sit right with me. I wouldn't be surprised to learn there was some type of much larger plot at play there. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.